Guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So Call of Duty Season 6 is now out on the PC. I sometimes wish I was an Xbox gamer or a PlayStation gamer because you just wouldn't have to put up with this crap sometimes. PC gaming, although better and is by far a more powerful machine, sometimes can be a right pain in the ass, especially when it comes to Call of Duty Warzone and graphics card settings and all that. So I'm going to run through Season 6 settings. I've watched a ton of videos. Some of them are absolutely useless, tell you way too much information, go way too much into the depths of your PC, which you don't need to do. And I'm going to show you what I have done to get the best frame rate possible. Hopefully it works for your system and you'll get higher frame rates. If you're a streamer as well, I'll quickly run through some stream settings in OBS, which I've set up, which gives me the best possible frame rates as well as streaming a high quality of video. So let's roll the intro and we'll get into it. Okay guys, welcome to my Windows background on my Windows screen. Boring, I know, Windows. I should have changed it by now, but I haven't. You may notice that my screen is very long and you've got two black lines at the moment. Ignore that. That is to do with the fact I have got a ultra wide screen monitor, 3440 by 1440p. So when I'm doing this sort of thing, it shows the whole monitor as a wide screen in the OBS. When I play Call of Duty, it goes back down to 1440p 2560 settings. So ignore that for now. So what we're going to do first of all, there's a couple of things we need to do with Windows before we jump into game settings. So go down to your magnifying glass. Type in game mode settings. I've already done it, so I'm just going to click on it. Go to game mode settings. Make sure that's switched on. It just gives you a little bit of optimization on your PC and on Windows. If you're not using the game bar settings, Xbox game bar settings, also switch that off. Recommend it. It doesn't really do a lot. You might use it to screenshot stuff and bits and pieces like that. But if you're streaming and using OBS, you can do it via there. Recommend you do that. Once you've done that, you can either go back down to the magnifying glass and type in graphics settings, or you can click on the side screen on the side. Go to graphics settings and go to this tab that's called hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Make sure that's switched on. It may need you to do a restart once you've done that. Once you've enabled it, sorry. Once you've enabled it, it may say, please restart PC. Do that now. If you've not done it, obviously, if you've done it already, carry on. That is it on them bits of the settings. The next thing you're going to need to do is go into your NVIDIA control panel. I've got a NVIDIA 28 graphics card. Some people might have a bit of different ones. Sorry, AMD people, I don't know what your settings are, but you may have a similar dashboard. So I'm just going to pull this over. I'll make it a little bit bigger on the screen so you guys can see it. So first of all, we'll just start from the top. Make sure in this adjust image settings with preview, make sure you use advanced 3D image settings. This is what we're going to set up in a moment. So do that. If you click the use my preference, then and click performance or quality, it resets the settings I'm going to go through with you in a moment. So make sure you've got use advanced 3D image settings. Next tab, go to manage 3D settings. In that manage 3D settings, we're going to quickly scroll down what to change in this. This will enable Call of Duty to use the graphics card in a different way to if you had this set to automatically. It enables Call of Duty to pick and choose what it's going to use. So we just start from the top. Some of these are just standard and they're not been changed, but some of them are. You will notice application controlled. So image sharpening off, scaling disabled. Ambient occlusion off, and anisotropic filtering. I struggle to say that word all the time. Application controlled. Anti-analyzing FXAA off. Anti-analyzing gamma correction on. Anti-analyzing mode application controlled. That means then the one below that setting will go application controlled as well, and you cannot change that. Anti-analyzing transparency off. Background application max frame rate off. CUDA GPUs all. DSR factors off. DSR smoothness is you can't change it, it's off. Low latency mode on. Max frame rate off. Multi-frame sampled AA off. OpenGL rendering GPU. This is your GPU that does all the gameplay. Mine is, as I said, a Geforce RTX 280. That is it. Power management mode. Preferred maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate. Highest available. That's my monitor. So that we use the highest monitor refresh rate, which on this monitor is 144. Texture filtering on. Texture filtering negative load bias allow. Texture filtering quality high performance. Texture filtering trilinear optimization on. Threaded optimization on. Triple buffering off. Vertical sync off. Virtual reality pre-rendered frames 1. And virtual reality variable rate super sampling off. That's that. We then go down to change resolution. This sometimes makes a massive difference on your monitor, so you just need to have a look at this. So obviously I'm running 2 monitors. I would recommend as well, if you do stream and you've got 3 or 4 monitors plugged into your graphics card, unless you've got a top of the range high-end graphics card, you only run 2 monitors. You don't need no more. So make sure you've got the option of going to native. So select your native resolution for your monitor. That will give you high performance. As I said, refresh rate for this monitor is 144. Go down to the next one, number 3, where it says apply the following settings. Click off. All these settings are always usually set as use default color settings. Make sure you go to use NVIDIA color settings. This makes a massive difference in the game, and you find there's a bit more vibrance in the game. So my monitor allows highest 32-bit output color depth. That was actually set at 8 when I've changed that to 10. Now works better. RGB is the color out format, and then output dynamic range. Make sure you change that to full. That again was set on limited. Do exactly the same on your other monitor, whatever it allows you to do. Again, that monitor is only a 1080p monitor. It's set as native, set as highest refresh rates. Again, you need to make sure that it's using the NVIDIA color settings as below. All this stuff here. So when you go to adjust desktop color settings, I would recommend, and I'm not going to talk about the NVIDIA filters, I would recommend turning your NVIDIA filters off, because that uses frame rates that you don't need to. Use this setting here. So where it says digital vibrance, make sure you can use this setting to change the color of your screen. If I show you here, you'll notice that my screen is changing color. Oh, you can't see it, but I can. So my screen changes color when I move that slider. You can't see it on the stream for whatever reason, but when you can change the color of your screen, and that makes a massive difference in Call of Duty. Without using them filters, you can get loads of color in your game. It makes the game look a ton better. You ain't got to use them filters, which drains precious GPU power. So again, set that up to whatever you feel comfortable. You can move all these tabs around. You can do the same on your other monitor as well. Obviously, depending on how you've got your monitor set up, doesn't make no difference. I'm not going to apply these changes because I'm going to change my stuff. Obviously, you guys need to make sure you do that. Again, there's nothing to change in the size scaling. Just make sure it's all set up to resolution rate is current. Your refresh rate is the highest refresh rate. Go through all them settings. Set up multiple displays. Again, it depends on how you got your monitors set up. And then again, when you come to a video and adjust color video settings, make sure that is set using with NVIDIA settings, and do that. That's done. Once you've done that, again, you don't need to worry about the last one, and that is done now. What we're going to do now is the last thing, is power management. This is the last thing. I forgot to go through it, the Windows setting. So you go to additional, so type in power and sleep, power management, and then you go to additional power settings. On this menu here, you will see, I'm just going to open it up a little bit bigger. Make sure this is set to high performance. You can have actually ultimate performance. It's just as good. I have high performance. I don't need to go for the ultimate performance. You can do that. That just allows your computer to run at the best possible way forward. Okay, we've gone through the Windows settings. You don't need to go into all the other stuff. What I do recommend I had Afterburner running on my PC. I found Afterburner was causing my GPU to do weird stuff in Call of Duty, so I uninstalled Afterburner. Once I've done that, I've got a load better frame rate, so get rid of that. Any other stuff that might be using your GPU. And that is it. What I also recommend as well is if you load up your Chrome, if you use Google Chrome, not Windows Chrome, go into your settings on Google Chrome and then go to Advanced, go to System, and then I would also recommend continue running background apps when Google Chrome is closed. I would click that off, and you can't see it right now because it's under my face, so I would click that button off. So go to Advanced, as I said, System, and make sure that is closed. By doing that again, you will close Google Chrome. Google Chrome actually uses CPU stuff, CPU in the background, even when it's not running. You'd be surprised. Again, click it off, you might get an extra frame or two. Right, now we're going to load up Call of Duty. Okay guys, so we're in Call of Duty. As you notice, my screen's now changed resolution. That's because I play on 2560 by 1440, which actually I don't use my full widescreen capability. I could do, but it gives me more frames by shrinking it down, and I could go lower, but then the game looks absolute rubbish, so I need to try and keep as best quality as I can. So we're going to go into settings. We'll go to my graphics settings. First of all, make sure display mode is set on full screen. Need to keep that on full screen. It will run 100 times better. Make sure your display monitor is set as correct. Make sure you've selected the right GPU. Next thing, screen refresh rate, obvious, set it at 144 Hertz as normal. Render resolution, go to the highest your screen will allow if possible, and keep it on 100. You don't need to go no more. Again, because I play on a big widescreen monitor, it actually uses more resources, and when I stream, it looks a bit weird, so I have to bring my monitor into the smaller 2560 by 1440. It doesn't matter too much, and that's why my advanced display resolution is set to that. I could go up to as much as 3840 to 160, but it uses loads and loads of stuff. Next few bits, aspect ratio normal, VSync is disabled, custom frame rate limit is set to custom. You can set that to unlimited, or you set it to custom. I've got it at custom. I've got it set as 360/30. It doesn't really matter too much. NVIDIA highlights is disabled. I don't use NVIDIA highlights. That records clips and stuff like that. You don't want it to be doing. NVIDIA reflex low latency. So there's two ways of looking at this that I've found, and it works both ways for me. But because I stream, and my PC, I've got an i7 generation 9 CPU, and I've obviously got a 2080 Geforce graphics card, RTX graphics card. With my stream, I found if I have this on enabled, my stream runs well, the PC runs well. If I go enable boost, I sometimes lose frames because it starts using more power from your GPU, and I start losing frames on my stream. So I've got this as enabled. Have a little play with it and see what works best for you. Some people says it works better on enable. Some people says it works on enable boost. This is something you're going to have to play with. I'm not going to go into the full detail because so many people have done so many videos about it. Again, all that stuff's normal. Right, the next few bits. These are the really important bits, and these make a massive difference to your gameplay. Stream quality, set it as low unless you've got a unless you've got another graphics card and you need to have it on, and you want to have it on. I would switch it to low. You don't really need it. It doesn't really make no difference. Text to resolution, I switch between low and normal depending on how I want to see the game. If I put it to normal, I lose a few more frames. Low is fine, and I get great. I get good enough gameplay. Texture filter anisotropic is high. Particle lighting is high. Bullet impact spray disabled. Tessellation disabled. On demand texture streaming, I've played about with this. It doesn't really make much difference in my game, so it's set at high quality. I actually had it switched off to standard. I've actually had it disabled, and in my personal opinion, can't see no difference in the game. Okay, so we're down to text resolution now. That is on extra. You can have a little play about with this, but again, there was a couple of videos that I've watched. They've used it on all different modes, and extra actually seemed to work best and give more frames, which is really weird. and a bit back to front, but I'd suggest setting this to extra. The next two, spot shadows and sun shadows disabled, particle lighting low, DirectX ray tracing disabled. If you turn that on, the game does sometimes look a bit better, but it also takes up a lot of extra GPU usage, so I suggest disabling that. Ambient occlusion disabled. I was going to say off. Screen space reflection disabled. Illuminating strength 1. If you turn that down to 0, you get a bit of a grainy effect. It looks pretty rubbish. Nvidia DLSS. This makes a massive difference with your frames, and if I would suggest playing about with this, and depend on what screen you're using, set it to whatever type. So if you have it on ultra performance, you run an 8K screen, it gives you extra performance on that screen. 4K, it will give you extra performance, it runs better. I run on 4K because I'm running a 4K screen. It looks great, it runs perfect. I could run it on balance. I gain a few extra frames on performance, so I'll keep it on there. Balanced is a pretty good mode to have it on for most people, and quality if you're running on a 2K resolution, so 1080p. Anti-aliasing, if you switch DLSS on, be aware you cannot change your anti-aliasing, so depending on how your system runs, I would suggest setting it on disabled if you want a little bit of a better graphic performance and you want to get rid of the jagged edges that you sometimes get. I suggest upping that a little bit, but you have to disable DLSS. So if I just show you have to disable DLSS before you can enable the anti-aliasing. I've got mine set to SMA 1 times. It just gives it a bit of a better quality on the screen, and then obviously that's on performance. Depth of field is disabled, world motion blur disabled, weapon motion blur disabled, film grain 0, dynamic resolution is disabled. If you enabled it, if you have to switch off the NVIDIA DLSS to enable the dynamic resolution, be aware if you have this enabled and it gives you your target frame rate. So if you say you want it on 130 frames, but your game or your graphics card cannot handle 130 frames, all these settings go out the window and the game looks absolute rubbish. So I suggest not touching that unless you really need to, and you can put up with a rubbish looking game. We'll go out of them settings. We'll just quickly go back into audio. I am really struggling with my audio, but I found dynamic home theater to be the best setting for me. That is what I use on here. Master volumes all the same, and speakers, all that stuff, all exactly the same. What I have done, if you watch some of my other videos, you will see that I have I use a piece of software called Voice Meter that I've enhanced the game sound a little bit more in my headphones. That just makes that sound a little bit more crystal, and I can hear footsteps coming from around the corner. So I'd suggest going to check that out if you want to check that out. Okay, so let's jump into OBS and we'll go through the stream settings I use if you stream. Right, okay, we're in OBS, and to be honest with you, I forgot how confusing it looks when you do things like this, but let's quickly go through my OBS settings. This will make a little bit of a difference if you're using OBS. You can put the same settings into Slobs as well, Streamlabs OBS, and it does work pretty much the same, although be aware when you are streaming and you're using Slobs, I find Slobs uses a little bit more resource than what OBS does, so I use OBS. There's a load of additional extras you can get on OBS as well that help you out and make it look a load better. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings. In the settings, all you're going to go to is you're going to go to stream. Sorry, not stream. You're going to go to output. You're going to make sure you change this to advanced. In your encoder, you're going to have it set as NVIDIA NVENC H.264 new. You're going to rescale your output, or you don't need to rescale your output. Sorry, if you want to rescale your output, you can. If you bring it down lower, that will give you a better quality stream. Rate control, CBR, that's just standard. Bitrate, I actually do 10,000 kbps. The reason I do this is because when I record, it records at a better quality. But then what I do is, and you'll see in a second, is I bring down, I sort of minimize or equalize the performance that it does. So keyframe intervals is set at 2. That's what a lot of streaming platforms recommend. Performance, my preset is set to performance. If I go to quality or max quality, that uses a little bit more of your NVIDIA chip. So you probably don't want to do that, because it does make a little bit of a difference when you're streaming. So I've set mine for performance. If you go max performance, you lose a little bit less quality on your stream, which is not really you can't really notice a difference, but you you gain a bit more performance on your graphics card and your CPU, etc., etc. So I've set mine on performance, profile high. Take the look ahead off, untick the look ahead. If that is switched on, take it off. That uses more of your computer's resources. You don't need to use that. Physical visual tuning, leave that ticked. GPU is set to 0, max B frames set to 2. These two up here, if you've got these clicked, so if you've got look ahead click, GPU, that's where them two come into play. Don't worry about it, just set them as standard. My video, I've got mine set to 1920 1080p. A lot of people tell me if you're streaming on Twitch, then you can have that set to the 1280 720p. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but I stream all my stuff 1080p. Sometimes when I'm recording, I go a little bit higher. So just go back to output. Sorry, recording. My recording type is set to standard. My recording format is set to MKV, and the encoder is set to the same as my streaming encoder. So whatever my streaming encoder is set at, my recording encoder is set at. And that is it. Okay, guys, that is it for the video. As I just said a minute ago, I'm just repeating myself. Hopefully you've made it to the end of the video, and the video was very helpful, and hopefully the settings in the game do work a lot better, and you get them ultimate frames, the maximum ultimate frames that you're looking for. If this video is any good, don't forget, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you want to see future videos. If it didn't work, let me know in the comments below as well. Hit that thumbs down if you want to hit that. Also, you can contact me in the Discord. That is in the link in the description below. But for now, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.